What if I told you that one simple strategy could increase your team's chance of success by 42% or more? In this episode, we're going to explore how you can use the powerful growth tool that's used by Google to achieve your goals. If you feel like you and your team are at least somewhat spinning your wheels, then it's time for a pit stop. Hi, I'm Chloe Temple, the founder of Pop and the Ultimate Website. And today we're going to break down exactly how you can use quarterly strategic review and resets to drive team success. Now, in addition, stick around because at some point I'm going to share with you how you can get your hands on the exact quarterly strategic planning resource that I use with private clients and teams that I work with, and a free way that we can support you to check in too. The thing about goals, at least in the way that I think is valuable, is that they're never one and done. But if you've been part of a bigger corporate organization, you'll know that somewhere there's a system that at least once a year, you're gonna have to enter your personal development plan, your objectives for the year. You'll possibly have sat down with your manager, you'll have agreed what you're setting out to achieve for the year, your KPIs, perhaps you've done that with your team as well. But I don't know if you're anything like me. I used to hate goal setting, at least in the professional sense. The reason why, well, number one, was probably at its depth a bit of fear of failure. I put down something that I feel like I was setting myself up to fail. What if I didn't actually achieve it? The second, though, was this sort of knowing that goals are just not one and done. You know, priorities change, things come up, and actually what I've committed to on this piece of paper or in the system might not be as relevant as something else that could have come up throughout the year. And I dread the idea that I could have been sitting down with my boss to appraise my performance and I'd not achieved what I'd committed to at the start of the year, and I'd end up without a pay rise, without a promotion, without the outstanding rating that I wanted. So it was much safer to keep goals really a little bit vague and practically as achievable as possible, right? The bare minimum. The thing is, in doing so, I was, at least in some way, keeping myself small because goals are hugely powerful. Just check out these stats right here. See, the simple act of writing down a goal increases your chance of achieving it by 42%. What? Just because I bloomin' wrote it down. Then, the act of simply telling someone increases it by 65%. And if I actually have an accountability appointment with that person that I have told that I'm going to do something with, then I am up to 95% likely to achieve it. These stats genuinely completely changed the game for me in terms of goal setting. They actually prompted me to invest in a coach myself to hold me accountable. But the thing is, we shouldn't need to invest in a coach in order to do that. How can we support each other? How can you empower your team to be accountability partners for each other? How can you empower your boss, your mentor, your sponsor, your assistant, your colleague, your whoever that might be, to be that for you? How can you be that for your team? The trick in all of this, for me, is that it's not enough to just set a goal. Nor if you've set one, does it mean that it's stuck. Part of why I was so resistant to setting goals was this fear of not achieving it. Embarrassment, shame, guilt, regret, disgust, all the fun emotions that, we really don't want to feel. They say to teach from your scars, not your wounds. So I'm actually going to break that rule right now and be a little bit raw and real with you. The biggest goal that I set this year was to have my book written and published, bestseller. Every single day this year, I've been waking up thinking, I need to focus on the book. I'm so behind. I'm so busy. How am I going to make space for it? I'm never going to get there. The emotional baggage that I have been essentially carrying around and feeling from not having achieved that goal is huge. I'm not gonna lie. The shame, guilt, frankly, self-disgust, regret. I've been beating myself up about it So much so that it could have stopped me from wanting to set goals ever again. But here's the thing. You know as well as I do that none of that rubbish that's been going through my head has been healthy or helpful. And I think that's where we get goals wrong. Because I was viewing it as this one and done. This I need to have achieved and written this best-selling book by this particular date. See, what we need to do is adjust and realign our strategies to ensure that we actually hit the goals that are most relevant to what's going on for us at the time, because priorities change. At the beginning of this year, publishing the book was my number one priority, and then things went by, things changed, things popped up that I couldn't have known would be more important, other opportunities that actually trumped the book. And just because I created that goal at the beginning of the year and I stamped a deadline on it, it didn't mean that I had to stick to it or I would be failing. So a couple of weeks ago, I sat down, took a hard look at myself to do a little bit mid-year review, and I created essentially the chance to recreate it. I sat there and re-looked at what I was doing, what was working, what wasn't, and I set about to re-strategize for the year ahead. And in doing so, I realized that the goal was still relevant. It's just the date that needed to shift. And my strategy, the how I'd go about going to achieve it. I can't tell you how different I feel now, having actually taken a bit of time to recreate it. I feel 10 times lighter. What it took was to take a step back and see the goal within the context of the bigger picture, every single other thing on my plate, reassess, was it still relevant? Did it need to stay? And yes, that process took a couple of hours. And yes, I was super busy, and yes, there was 100 other things I could have been doing on my to-do list. But as one of my past coaches used to tell me, Chloe, you have to pull the arrow back in order for it to fly forward. Let's put it another way. An F1 driver, if they want to make it to the end of the race without skidding off the track, and I'm not a huge F1 fan, my partner is, so I pay attention. But what I noticed is that every driver needs to at least pit stop once. So the team can basically change the tyres. More if it's raining. Quarterly reviews are the pit stop. Great leaders do them. The best leaders do them with their team. Often we are too busy though in the day-to-day of the operations that we think we just don't have the time. But what I want you to think of these quarterly review opportunities are as an investment to avoid bigger issues down the road. See, they're super powerful tools for driving success, individually, but even more so as a team. But as leaders, it starts with you. So what I'm doing is hosting a 90-minute quarterly strategic planning workshop. You'll be able to find details and a link in the description below this video. Basically what we'll be doing is walking you through our quarterly R&R workbook. This is something that up until now I've done it myself. I've also supported private clients and the teams that I've worked with, but I want you to have access to it too. So if you use that link to register, you're gonna get that resource straight to your inbox straight away. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Please, if you can subscribe, I cannot tell you how useful that is for a growing channel. And right now, when I look at the numbers on this one, well, it's definitely up for review. So thank you in advance. And whether or not you want to take us up on some help, the point really is to set yourself up and your team for success in the year ahead by consciously creating space to check in. Because doing so gives you the offsite advantage. Until next time.